first question for you is just your basic background, who you are, where you're from, what kind of got you into making clothes, fashion, kind of both your brands.
So my name is Jacob Siegel. I'm from Huntington Beach, California, and I own two brands. I own Seaggs Rendering Co. and Magdalsade. So, and you want to hear of like how Seaggs started?
Yeah, you can dive into both brands, honestly.
So it happened in 2016. I had this idea to make a jacket as like a gift for my friend for his birthday. So I knew my aunt had tons of like embroidery and sewing machines. So I bought a jacket, took it to her, told her my little idea, just like his name or something on like a breast. She embroidered the jacket and she embroidered some other graphic on a t-shirt. It was like an inside joke. And I gave it to him. He absolutely fucking loved it, and I kept going back to her for more gift ideas for my, friends and family and some other projects for myself. And after like a month or so, she said, if this interests you so much, why don't you get your own machine? And I didn't really think about taking that extra step, like, because then it would be like an interest and a hobby that I would start. So she sent me an eBay link with the same machine she had. I bought it and I received the machine December 21st, 2016. So I've just been kind of messing with it ever since. I started with hats and then shirts and then some shoes, and then finally started to do like some one of one hoodie stuff. I didn't really intend to make a brand or a business out of it. It was just an interest. It was like a creative outlet. So I just made some stuff, posted it on Instagram, and some people wanted to buy it for like not a stupid amount of expensive money, maybe like $70 for, a one of one hoodie, which at the time was appropriate because like I was unknown. No one really knew who I was. It was just like, I'll take any bit of money I can get for the stuff
Yeah.
that I made. And that's essentially like the beginning of Seaggs. Magdalsade kind of started a little bit more organically down the road. Like I had the idea for the story and then I drew some graphics and then I just started piecing things together. And then I had the idea for, well, what if I do like a story clothing brand? And then I started to work on it, behind the scenes as I would do Seaggs.
hmm So how do you, is there a certain way you try to prioritize the two brands? Is one your main brand? One's kind of like necessarily maybe like a creative offshoot where like one is, you're making a certain product and it's maybe received a lot well than like better by customers necessarily moving more volume. And then another one's, I'm going to do what I want with this one and kind of keep it as an art passion focus. Or is it both that art passion? Is one, does one let you kind of like almost pay the bills for the other?
Okay, so Seaggs is the main one. I
Mhm.
just like what you just said is
Yeah.
Seaggs helps fund itself as well as Magdalsade. So they're both meaningful to me. I'll get to the point of how I like distribute my time and money with
Yeah.
them. They're both meaningful to me in different ways. Seaggs was the first one, like creative endeavor I started, and it's the one that's has the biggest following and community. It helps, get me, money in my pocket. Magdalsade is a little bit more like focused. I feel like the story means a lot to me. Not trying to be cheesy or cliche, but it's like it's things the story is kind of based on a true story in a way. It's like different experiences that I've been through or just people I've met or things I've heard about. I just take all of these separate, almost unrelatable things and then I kind of package it into like a palatable story for a clothing brand for the consumer. So Magdalsade is more of like a passion kind of project. There's more, I think there's more I can do with it because since I'm restricted into like the medieval, darker kind of vibe, it actually gives me more freedom because if people like the medieval darkness, but like compared to
Yeah.
Seaggs is more playful, colorful, Magdalsade is more darker. So if people like the medieval kind of stuff from Magdalsade, they can assume that the next collection or next collection will have the same vibe. So then they could really have an affection towards that brand aesthetic. Whereas Seaggs started with just like my embroidery machine, and there wasn't really a core theme or style or aesthetic. It was just me using the machine and the software making cool stuff. So, just because you like one of my collections now, or one of one stuff or whatever, doesn't mean you necessarily may like the next one just because it's all over the place. So
Yeah.
Seaggs is just a way I can just be creative and make whatever I want. Magdalsade is more focused in that way. So in terms of like allocating my time and money, I try to do it evenly. I really believe in Magdalsade. I have a lot of cool stuff planned, as well as the story, the animations, and some other stuff. There, I'm trying to make it like a much more concise whole.
Like have a very specific like brand identity
Yeah, with the
kind of
brand
thing.
image, yeah, the positioning of it is a lot stronger and like structured than Seaggs. So in the time being, I wouldn't, running two clothing brands isn't the most efficient way to go. It's just the way that things turned out for me. And because I could stop Seaggs and then just do Magdalsade, but then I'd be, back in the beginning where I was with Seaggs, where I have to slowly make stuff and then gradually increase. Whereas Seaggs, I could just make a collection as good as I can get some income, and then distribute that to both brands to keep them both pumped up. And then, I want to take my time with Magdalsade, not, incredibly slow, but since it's a story, it has to be the clothing and collections and graphics have to be released in a certain order in the way
Okay.
that I want to tell the story. So I'm juggling it. It's doing well so far. I'm not dying yet. So maybe in the future when they're both super big, I may need to get a team of something.
Dice. Yeah. So kind of we were talking earlier, your United Nations Boxing Club piece was, I was gonna say, it was kind of based off a history class. You said there's a bit of a story behind it, and kind of from what I've seen, that was a piece that exploded for you a bit, got like a lot more probably recognition than just like your normal stuff, and then kind of helped you grow a bit, if that's correct.
Yeah.
Um, so what's the, especially because I want to know because it was based off of history class. I love history. So what's the history and the story behind the United Nations Boxing Club, and kind of how'd that help propel you to do what you're doing now? Was that kind of like the oh shit moment, I can do this, like I can make clothes and put them out there and people want them?
I think you're giving it a little bit too much. Like, it didn't slingshot me to like
Okay.
success or whatever, but it was a cool graphic people like.
Hmm.
So I went to it was my history class post Civil War. They split the history between pre-Civil War, post-Civil War at Cal State Long Beach. So I was in this class and we were learning about the Cold War and just propaganda. I wasn't, 100% paying attention, but just enough where we're talking about propaganda and like the Russian efforts and American efforts and or USSR, Soviet Union at the time. And there were just some pictures on the slideshow of just propaganda, and I thought that looks kind of cool. So I started to do like just more research, I guess, looking up propaganda, how America and USSR were like talking about each other at the time. And I made this like boxing graphic. Well, I made a couple together. I made like the two boxers. I got the UN logo, got some boxing gloves, and made like a UN boxing glove logo kind of thing. And I think there was another graphic. Oh yeah, and on the hood, Cold War King, because why not? Sounds cool.
Yeah.
So it was just a one-off idea. I didn't plan to make a collection out of it or like a whole pack. It was just the one idea that sparked it, and I just thought the colors were good, red, blue, yellow, and maybe some black. And it's just a cool idea. I haven't really seen. It is kind of political, but it's like I feel like it's like playful political because it shouldn't offend anyone. Like we're way past that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
So
it's like it's based off of history, but it's not like there's no intent.
yeah,
So
it's
it's
not
the
it's
theme of
not
it.
throwing jabs at anyone.
Hmm.
And it was cool. Andrew Scholes, the comedian, I sent him one. So one of his like tour buddies is him, a guy named Alex Media, and then some other dude. But the other dude's name I forget. He's the one that reached out to me. I forget his name, but he said he saw me on Reddit when I posted on Streetwear Startup, and he wanted 3 hoodies, one for each of them. He was like, "Do you know who Andrew Scholes is?" And I was like, "Fuck yeah, I know who Andrew Scholes is. That's sick." So I sent him a hoodie, and he wore it on his Flagrant podcast. No, yeah. It was Flagrant podcast, and they were talking about like some COVID stuff. It was early on in like the COVID pandemic when you talked about some COVID stuff, and someone sent me a picture like, "Yo, Andrew's wearing your hoodie," and I was, "Oh, that's so fucking cool." That's probably like the biggest like celebrity, I guess, to
Yeah.
wear a comedian to wear my stuff. That was pretty cool. And then I re-released him with like some shirts and some shorts. Like I'd add on to the pack every time I'd re-release it, and yeah, people seem to really like it. I still get DMs every now and then, like, "Are you ever gonna re-release it?" And it's like, yeah, maybe in the future.
Do you ever, especially kind of go off that, especially because since I've been following you, a lot of the stuff is you do like one of one hoodies and one off hoodies. But then also you kind of have, you do kind of these themed collections. I forget the exact name, but the recent collection with the shirts that kind of have like I don't know if the right word's not anime, but like the Seaggs text across it that looks like that kind of like Japanese Street Fighter, that kind of text. Obviously, that's a bit of a more themed collection that they all go together, similar logos. But then you have and I saw you released like, was it 20, 30 hoodies, all kind of different, they all look like individual pieces of art. And I like the fact that it wasn't like you were just screen printing the same logo, you weren't embroidering the same logo. They're big enough graphics too, where it looks like it was genuinely an art piece, or like a giant piece of fabric or a giant piece of drawing or anything like that. And you put them all on one-on-one hoodies. Do you like doing that stuff more? Do you like doing the collections? Are you trying to find a way to kind of mix both?
I do both because the one of one stuff, each hoodie, it depends what the graphic is. If
Mm-hmm.
I'm embroidering or doing applique or dye stuff, whatever. So it can take, 2, 3, 4. I think the longest hoodie that I ever took was 19 hours, but that was like a long time ago. It was a test hoodie. So whenever I would test graphics, I would test them on the hoodie, and then it just built up over time. And
Mm-hmm.
anyway, that's something else. So I like to switch off between one of one drops and the mass collection stuff, because as I'm waiting for samples for mass collection, or I'm posting about them, and then I release them, and then I close the store, and then my manufacturer begins to make them for me, and then I can send them out. And that whole time I can work on one of ones. So then once I send out all the mass collection orders, I can post the one of ones, and then I could repeat. So I can switch off. So as I'm waiting for the mass collection stuff, waiting for samples, or waiting for them to make the bulk order, I could switch off between that. So there are times when, for the one of one stuff, some designs look similar. Maybe it's because I really fuck with the design, or I want to try different variations of the design, similar to the brothers, the brother pack. I don't know. There were five. I call them brothers. Five
Yeah.
brothers, and it had like 2 or 3 of my stars in the corner, and then just different graphics that just it depended on like the color of the star and the color of the blank. It just there was like a beige hoodie with blue stars, and I'm like, oh, that looks very like earthy and like naturey, so I'll put an earth on there, and then I'll talk about like what was once before can be again. It was just some fucking bullshit sentence about the environment is doing bad, but it can be good again. So it's like, oh, that's some text that is relevant to the earth thing.
Yeah.
So I embroider stuff, and sometimes I take a step back, look at it, and think, what else could exist on this hoodie, this canvas, this composition, whatever. So I have tons of ideas. I'm not saying that like pretentiously, but
Oh, no, no. I
if I
mean,
have a bunch of if I have a bunch of hoodie blanks, and I'll embroider like one graphic on each blank, just so I'm married to the idea, like, okay, I already put this skull on this hoodie, I have to do like a darker, grungier theme, or I already put a star on this hoodie like 2 days ago, I got to commit to this kind of brighter, light feely kind of thing. So I don't really judge myself too much with the one of one stuff. I just add a graphic at a time. But with the mass collection drops, I do try to pick a theme or an aesthetic that isn't too bright or in your face like the one of one stuff is. It's stuff you can wear with other things. So if you're wearing the super busy one of one hoodies, you probably don't want to wear a busy hat or busy pants or busy shoes,
yeah.
because it's
You
too
don't
much.
want to cover it with a jacket because then you can't see the artwork on it.
Yeah, or the guys that always wear like Supreme everything. It's like Supreme's cool, but like it's a little too much going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is some kind of balance between the thought process of like making the one of ones versus the mass collection stuff. But I guess since I'm the one making them or designing them, it's not like I have to think too hard on it. I just kind of, I guess, intuition, like it just knows like this graphic would be better as a one of one, but this graphic would be better as like a screen printed, like just on a t-shirt, just on a hoodie.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. And then eventually building into kind of the YouTube and TikTok stuff. So, because obviously you've made these videos that are literally, if someone just decides I want to make a clothing company one day, best place I found to find information is go to your YouTube, and it literally says best manufacturers, best blanks, all those kind of things, which are literally the most basic questions you need to start a clothing company. And honestly, some of the hardest things to figure out when you're just getting started. So and obviously, so you use blanks and stuff, but I've also seen like you do these hoodies with the kind of velvet interior one, which I've never even heard of someone trying to put a velvet interior on a hoodie, which is awesome. Does that come as like, is that you doing like a cut and sew thing where you're designing the actual hoodie, or did you take a blank and get a velvet interior, bring it to a manufacturer, and was like, this is what I want on the inside?
So for the velour hoodie, there's two hoodies that I guess I sourced with like not common materials. It was the fluffy Sherpa fleece and the velvet interior hoodie. So um I'll do the velvet, not the velvet, the fleece one first. So the Sherpa fleece one, I bought it from like this one brand like a couple years ago for like retail price. Just it was a hoodie, and then I embroidered like some Dr. Seuss stuff on a long time ago. I was on Alibaba, and you can search anything on Alibaba, like custom duffel bag, custom shirt, 500 GSM hoodie, whatever. And I
Mhm.
found the same fluffy hoodie, and I found their wholesale side. So I guess they have like a main brand, but they have like a wholesale side on Alibaba. So that's where I got the Sherpa fleece, and I haven't really seen anyone use it. So I was like, oh, I can be the first to do that, or one of the first. For the velvet interior, I found that on accident. I was looking for a super high GSM hoodie. So like higher GSM, the denser the threads are woven together in the hoodie, the heavier it should be. So I was searching up like 400 GSM, 500 GSM, 600 GSM. And under 600 GSM, which is like 21 ounces, 24 something ounce, I don't know, something in the clothing world. It's weird.
Yeah.
I received a hoodie, and I initially had reservations about it. Like, okay, it's not as thick as an LA Apparel hoodie, an Independent Trading Co. IND 5000 15
Mhm.
ounce kind of hoodie, but it helped educate me how GSM doesn't mean weight. It's like the density of the thread. It's a whole nother kind of calculation. But the interior was velvet, and I had no idea that the interior would have been this velvet kind of velour kind of material. I thought it would be like, cotton fleece or French terry, whatever. So it's like, well, I already have the samples. I bought like 5 of them at a time. I already have the samples, so I'll use them for one of ones. And I posted on my story like, yo, I got this velvet interior hoodie, and people were like, what? That's so cool. I've never seen that before. And then I thought, maybe I do like it. Maybe because everyone else likes it, this is a good idea. So I did the one of one stuff. I put them, they were part of the brothers. So 3 of them were the velvet interior. I made them as a part of the brother star collection, and high price tag. People loved it. So I definitely want to use them again for one of one stuff. People like them. So it was like a happy accident. I didn't really mean to look for velvet interior. It just kind of came to me. Well, actually, it shipped to me, but like as I
Yeah.
bought it, I didn't know what I was getting, but it ended up working out. People seem to like it.
Yeah. Because I was wondering if it was like just a normal, like you said, independent 5,000, independent 4,000 blank that you ordered, and then you actually either had someone or you did it, put the velvet inside of it, or obviously you found a blank with already in it, which is sick. Um,
But it's a good idea though, because like I know tons of people use blanks. Like it shouldn't be frowned upon whatsoever. Whether you're starting out,
yeah.
even bigger brand, they still use blanks. It's easy getting into cut and sew. If they have the demand for it, and you can reach those minimums, that's great. But there's a couple people using like, I guess you could say, obscure or just not common materials for hoodies. Like I was listening to a podcast the other day, 2 weeks ago. That's not the other day. It was 2 weeks ago, and it's called "How I Built This." Um, it's super interesting, and one of them was with Fubu with Damon. What's his last name? Damon Johnson. Yeah, on Shark Tank.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know exactly what
And
you're talking about. Yeah.
so he was talking about Fubu and for us, by us, and it was the whole story with how he'd like make beanies, sell them on the street, and just very inspiring. I looked up Fubu's website, and there's a hoodie they're selling. Maybe I don't know if it's there anymore, but it's a hoodie it was a corduroy hoodie, but the kangaroo pocket on the front, like by the belly button, the kangaroo pocket, it was like a knit, like a really warm kind of knit, and it had like this weird hexagon pattern repeating. And it's like a corduroy hoodie with the same color on the knit and the corduroy hoodie with a knit kind of like super thick, almost like someone like crocheted or knitted it with a very thick kind of like type of thread. And it's like, that's cool. Like that's fucking. I may not wear it. Well, I would wear that one, but in
Yeah.
certain things when people would like make weird pieces with weird material, whether you would wear it or not, I just think it was a super creative idea, and I feel like people should kind of explore that medium more often of using not so common materials. I mean, cotton fleece and French terry work. Like, if
Mhm.
it's not broke, don't fix it. But like, the Sherpa fleece thing and like the velour interior and going on to like the corduroy hoodie and the knit, I feel like it'd be really inspiring to just experiment with some stuff. People may actually like fall in love with it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So then following from that, kind of the blank manufacturer stuff. So what made you want to start the YouTube thing? Was that just a pure and kind of TikTok, obviously evolving off of YouTube and the kind of social media platform it is now? But was that just like a passionate content creator wanting to make some videos? Was that a genuine, like I want to help other people start their clothing companies because this has been so much fun for me and give these people these basic tools? Kind of, so what was the inspiration behind all that? Because it's easy to have a clothing company and just start, pumping out clothes, but to make video content especially is, I think, a very unique and cool thing that you do.
Thank you. So one reason was content. It's just an extra thing that consumers, the touch point for like the Seaggs brand that consumers could interact with. I know that, well, okay, so as I've been doing one of ones for so long, I've built like in my head like this little catalog of blanks that I've tried. I've tried Gildan blanks, House of Blanks, which is another brand, House of Blanks is what it's called. Original favorites, LA Apparel, Independent Trading Co., AS Color, Rue Porter, Made Blanks, a bunch. So as I've ordered different hoodies and shirts and sweatpants and sweaters, because I would hear about either on Reddit or from a friend or Instagram or another YouTube channel, like, oh, these hoodies are 15 ounces, $30. Let me try it. This hoodie is 21 ounces, $100. Let me try it. And depending where I hear it from, if I've never seen it before or I'm really interested to feel it, I would just order a sample and I would spend 20, 30, 40, whatever bucks just to see. Because I know that I could use that for a one of one down the road, and or if I like it enough, I could use it for my mass production stuff. So it's just me being like, I guess, proactive, trying to like just get an arsenal of different blanks. So as I built this little catalog in my head, I looked on YouTube and I thought like, I wonder if I could make a video comparing all these blanks that I've I guess collected or at least found out about. So I YouTubed like best hoodie blanks for a streetwear brand, best blanks for blah blah, just different phrases with words together. And the videos already exist, but they're all very similar with where it's just like it's usually just a dude standing there in a camera and he has like a clothing rack behind him with clothes on it and he's like, this is the Independent Trading Co., this is the LA, he's just holding it. So I knew that like, okay, I already know if I made this video, I could just put the clothes on, put my height and weight in the corner of the screen, so people know my size, and then just put the clothes on and like do spins and then raise my arms up, show the hood, the length of the sleeves and the body. And I feel like when you see it on someone's person, it just gives you a better idea as to how the hoodie may look or fit, because hoodies are sewn differently, and depending on like some hoodies have really really big kangaroo pockets where it's like up to here, others are shallower, so maybe depending on the graphic you have, you may want a different hoodie. Or the sleeves may be longer or shorter, maybe you want a more streetwear relaxed look, get the longer sleeve rather than the same with the hood. Some hoods are massive like Rue Porter, others are more reserved like the Independent Trading Co. So it just depends on like, I guess, the vibe that you're looking for. There's different color options, different prices, different materials. So I thought since I've already gone through all that stuff, I would be a good person to, I guess, make the content. And it started with the comparing the blanks, and then it went to, okay, I can answer other questions that are in like the streetwear brand world, which is how to get a manufacturer and how to get a wholesale account. So I thought those would be good complementary videos. And then maybe down the road, I'll, ask people, what other kind of stuff do you want questions for? I still got to make a sweatpants one. That's the one I haven't made yet. People have been asking
That's a
about.
good one, especially right now. But blank sweatpants are hard to find, especially if you want scared colors. But
Well, preview, LA Apparel has the best sweatpants. That was going to be my number one in the video. LA Apparel HF04 sweatpants, 14 ounces, $24 wholesale. They're the best ones that I felt so far. So that's a little preview.
There you go. And so have you found with kind of all this video content, do you ever get people just messaging you like, hey, I watched your videos and now I've started this company based off of your videos?
Yeah.
I'm sure you get people I'm sure you have, your fans who found you on Instagram and saw all your clothing, and then they moved over and found your YouTube, TikTok video content. I'm sure there's people who found kind of the reverse, found that stuff on YouTube and TikTok, then was like, oh, this guy also has a brand. So how's kind of that fan interaction been?
It's been good. So I've had people DM me, not super frequently, but enough to where, I can notice it. Where it's like it's because of you I've gotten like my sewing machine, or some people have actually gotten an embroidery machine, not a super expensive one, but just like basic beginner
Okay, I
mode.
mean, I have my sewing machine right here.
Yeah. So did I make you get that?
I've had it for like 3 years actually, but
I can't take credit for all everyone, but some people have messaged me saying you got me into like making a brand or taking the first step into like my creative stuff. Sometimes it's not owning a brand, it's just them being an artist or photographer or whatever. But I guess me just making my stuff and making videos inspires people if they find inspiration, which is nice. That's not my intent, just going into everything. But if people can find value in it and they can apply it to their own life, then, hooray, that's just icing on the cake. So I've had people, reach out for sewing, embroidery, some brand stuff where they would ask like, where do you get this? That's another thing that goes into gatekeeping. Like, I think gatekeeping it's fine to an extent. Like with the Sherpa fleece hoodie, I haven't really seen many people use it, and people ask me where I got it, and I gatekeep that because I wanted to use it a little bit more often, and then I'll make it public because I found it first, just in
yeah,
that context. But if
like
it's
secrets a bit.
like as a brand owner, if I'm like making the videos, like which blanks to buy, where to get overseas or local manufacturing, some people don't want to disclose that information. I'm not trying to like poke hate at like everyone, like it's everyone against me. That's not what I'm trying to say. But like it has come up in other questions and interviews, and since we're on the topic of like gatekeeping, I just think it's public information. It's just you're gonna find out the information one way or another, either a month from now looking through Reddit, or you can just search on YouTube and find it right there from my videos or someone else's videos. So
Mhm.
gatekeeping is it just seems like it stems from insecurity. Like people want to make a brand, be creative, just give them all the basic ingredients and then they can experiment from there. So when people come to like reach out and reply and say you've helped me, it's like, well, good, I'm glad my videos could help you. That's kind of the main point.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. That's I feel like the best answer anyone could have given to that. So the next kind of thing I was very curious about is also just from someone who like owns brand stuff, the $10 t-shirt kind of thing you're on, which I think is awesome. And especially like, you do charge, more money for your one-on-one hoodies. Obviously they're more work, higher quality. It's an art piece you're putting on. And then you're able to charge, do a $10 t-shirt to get kind of that in everyone's hand where not everyone can afford a $200 hoodie or something like that. Um, was the $10 t-shirt thing something you really wanted to do to get it out there? Was it something you're just able to do kind of financially? Like what was the situation there?
So I was by any means not the first person to do really cheap teas. I know
Yeah.
Eighth Wonder has done $8 teas. I know like Pythia and Superficial have done like $10 teas and stuff. It's an extra price tier that consumers can like purchase from. You have your super cheap, you have your middle, and then your expensive. So you
Mhm.
don't. It just depends on like your brand structure. So I noticed that it was doing well for other people, and I thought, well, I've thought about it before, but I never really had the confidence to do it, or I never really thought too much into it. So I just tried it for the first time for the $10 tea, and I advertised it, and I did my Facebook marketing, and there were some other things that helped incentivize orders. Like the first 50 orders got a free necklace, the first 40 got a t-shirt. I did a giveaway, giving away a one of one piece, and all these different things. Plus the $10 teas resulted in like a lot of orders. But I think I'm gonna do $10 teas in maybe not all my mass collection releases, but most of them, just because like the profit on them is not much. There is a profit, but it's very small. It's more of like just getting the product to the consumer, and then if they like other pieces in the collection, they may buy that too. So it's just like another way to just get the clothing in the hands of the consumer.
Yeah. And to introduce people to Seaggs.
Yeah, like there are blanks, and I've talked about shirt blanks in the YouTube video. There are shirt blanks that are like pretty cheap with really decent quality. And when you're buying a $10 shirt, you're not expecting like 100% like Supima cotton from like Gucci or something. You get what you get. So it's still good. But, when people go in for the $10 thing, it's just they own a little bit of Seeks, just a little bit. If they can't get like the one of one stuff.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. Um, is this what you want to do? Is clothing kind of the fashion thing? Obviously, said you at school. I don't know if you went to school for art and fashion or anything like that. What kind of was this the end goal? Or is this obviously you said you just kind of started embroidering with your family member, and then she was like, why don't you just do this yourself? You're so
Yeah.
interested in it. Is this kind of now something that like you're like, especially you have some traction under you, you know, you can do it, you know, you have a following base, is like, yeah, like this is what I want to do.
So yeah, I think now that I've like practiced the craft and like I know what I know about like the streetwear community and fashion and what people's interests are in the context of this environment. I think yeah, I don't think it's my end all be all like I'm gonna retire and die owning a clothing brand. I could, but you know, no one knows what's gonna happen in a year or 5 years or 30 years. So
Hmm.
I can see Magdalsade being the super long term one just because the brand image is so focused and concise that like if you like it, you like it. With Seaggs, it can be like I said earlier, it can vary with like the themes and the vibes and of it and stuff. Um, I've actually always wanted to be a music producer, like electronic music. I never had a music taste until like beginning of high school. My brother gave me a USB stick with a bunch of like electronic songs, and that was like it opened up a whole new world for me. So I've made some little songs on like Logic and Fruity Loops like years ago, and it's cool. They're not like great by any means, but I would love to do something in the electronic music industry, and as well as keep doing my clothing stuff because it's still, I am a creative person. I would like to believe I'm a creative person, so
Yeah.
I just want to flex those muscles, visually with the clothing stuff, and then like, uh, what's the word for audio for audio,
Yeah.
whatever audio. So yeah, I don't know if like Seaggs and Magdalsade would be like the final end game thing, but I'm just gonna keep doing it day by day, just doing the best I can, keep trying to progress them, and then as things fall in my lap or as I get more resources or interest to do something else, then I'll do that too. Oh, and like you said about the school thing, I didn't go to school for art. I am a business marketing major. Yeah, I
Okay.
have a bachelor's in marketing from Cal State Long Beach.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. Um, so then what do you kind of, one of the last kind of wrap things, what do you have next right now? I know you just kind of dropped the Damascus collection.
The first part, yeah, it was going to be one part, but I did a poll because I had some items already made and then some were going to be pre-orders. So next up is Damascus Pack Part 2. I have some more $10 tees. I have a giant
That based off of Call of Duty, like the Damascus camo or anything.
camo. Yeah,
Okay.
I've had people message like, "You play? What's your Call of Duty handle?" It's like, no, it's not based off that. It's well, okay. It kind of transitions into, since I own two brands. Sometimes when I'm thinking of themes or ideas for one brand, it can bleed over into the
Mhm.
other one just because it's in my mind at the time. So like as I'm trying to work on both brands, it just kind of spills into like my process. So that is called a Damascus pack. And then if you looked at my animation for Magdalsade, one of the settings is in Damascus. So like I was kind of making it same with this hat. It's like visit Damascus. So it's like,
Oh yeah.
so it's some things spill over. I don't know. Maybe there'll be a collaboration with Seaggs and Magdalsade one day. That'd be kind of cocky, wouldn't it? Collaborating with yourself. It's kind of weird. A little bit.
I feel there's definitely ways to do it. What's next? Like, do you have,
Oh yeah. Okay.
obviously you said kind of the second half of the Damascus packs coming next.
I
Do you have
kind of read a little bit. So
any
yeah.
other big plans kind of coming up in the near future that you would love our viewers and obviously your fans to know as well?
Yeah. So mostly for Magdalsade, because with Seaggs, I just do the one of one stuff and the collections, and some I will have. Well, I'm doing a sweatsuit for Seaggs. It's using a French terry fleece. It's so fucking soft. I had a sample made for the cargo, my Hydra cargos, and
Mhm.
it's like thicker than fleece, but it has like the grain of like French terry. They call it French terry fleece, but it my overseas manufacturer, but it's one of the softest kind of materials for this price range that I've ever felt. So the sweatsuit for Seaggs, the ultimate sweatsuit's getting made. For Magdalsade, I've been working on some more NFTs. I'm doing a token system where if you own this NFT only for Magdalsade, if you own this NFT, you are guaranteed any item from my collections indefinitely, any one item. So if I have like $100 hoodie in my next Magdalene collection, and I've already released one NFT, so that owner can say, "Hey, I want that hoodie," and I'll say, "Great, send me your seed link to prove you own the NFT." and then I'll send it to you. You pay nothing. So I want this to be like another way consumers can have an advantage in a way, not a big advantage, but like a way that if they really love and respect and support the brand, they could buy the NFT. I sold it for like zero point 0.2 Ethereum, which at the time was like $400. But when you're doing crypto stuff, you're focusing on like the Ethereum or the Bitcoin number rather than like the US dollar amount.
Yeah.
So maybe in the future, one day, someone values my brand and a lot, and maybe my clothes sell out fast or whatever. So someone goes to the current owner of the NFT and say, hey, I'll give you an offer of 1 Ethereum to buy that NFT token off you, which is now I think like $2,200 is 1 Ethereum. So now the current owner can think, I can either keep the token and get Magdalsade indefinitely, or I could get this Ethereum and get the money right now. So hopefully the tokens over time will increase in value as my brand increases.
So when you say like indefinitely, so say I own one of your NFTs and you make a drop, guaranteed a hoodie from that.
Anything, yeah, a hoodie or a shirt, whatever.
Yeah. So is it almost like, but say, so the next drop, am I still guaranteed one? Like, is it one piece from each drop?
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
That's
if
awesome.
in a year from now, if I make 10 collections, you're guaranteed at least one item for each of those collections. The only way you won't get an item is if I would go bankrupt. I don't know, if the brand just stops existing.
Yeah.
That's a cool thing. I've never really seen people use NFTs as a utility like that.
It's almost like a subscription in a very big way.
One-time payment subscription. So I think NFTs are cool. Do you know a bit about them?
I've looked at them a bit, but I've actually just recently started diving into trying to learn about cryptocurrency and NFT.
When I first heard about them, I thought it was kind of wacky. Like,
Yeah, it was a hard concept to grasp, especially like someone who is into art and all that stuff. It's like, okay, if I buy a sculpture, I put it in my house, I can display it. It's like I own this. If I have an NFT, it's like, do I just like show someone my phone and be like, hey, I have this image that I own. So it's definitely, obviously it's a brand new concept really that just blew up recently. So obviously people aren't necessarily going to understand it, but
some people have been getting like little screens, like frames, and they plug them into an outlet, and then like your electric bill will go up obviously, but then your artwork that you own will be perpetually on your little LED, your screen. So some people, like, they sell their NFTs, and there's also like a physical version you get as well, just so you have both options available. But I know art is like the art aspect of NFTs is like super popping right now. But I've joined some like Clubhouse talks, and I've just looked on Google because I just like to fucking research and shit. So I was thinking like this could be used in like administration or like preventing identity theft. Like imagine all of your documents are somewhere on the web, and they're encrypted, and they're linked to this NFT code that you own. So if you say, "Hey, I'm Jacob Siegel," and then I go to court and say, "No, I'm Jacob Siegel. I have the NFT with all of my social security, my birth certificate, all this shit." That should be like undeniable proof. Or I'm sure the fake person could make their own NFT if the other person hasn't. But I feel like there's so many applications of like security that this could be used for.
Beyond just the kind of craze right now that is NFT art.
Yeah, and because art is like the most like superficial, it's very in like the culture. It's in every kind of culture. So that's like super popular right now. But the NFTs, what I'm doing with the token, that's cool. And then the last thing, I guess, to wrap up this question is I'm working on a duffel bag for Magdalsade, and it is a castle duffel bag. So it's going to be very boxy. It's going to look like a black castle with embroidered windows and like a secret zipper pocket and like a drawbridge pocket. It's going to be so fucking cool. It's being made right now overseas, so it might be done in like 2 or 3 months. Very long time, but that's going to be that's going to be the biggest thing I've ever done. The most ambitious project that Jacob has ever done. So that's something to look forward to. So that's what I'm excited for.
Is there any last things you want our viewers and your fans to know from this?
Embrace happy accidents, fail forward. Everyone has peaks and valleys. If you start doing something, it's going to suck. And if you do it the next day, it's still going to suck, but one day it'll suck less. That's it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Of course.